Today we'll talk about a compound project. So what is a compound project? Well, a compound project is just a Lattix project that has been created by combining other Lattix projects. So what you get is a combination of the elements of each of the project then combined together to give you a compound project, which is the aggregation of all its elements. And when should you use a compound project? Well, you can use a compound project when you're working with large projects. So let's say that you have a large C and C++ code base, which is then split up into a number of DLLs or number of shared libraries. You could build a project for each of those binaries and then combine it together into a single large compound project. You can also use it when you're dealing with multiple technologies. So you have a project that's got, let's say, Java and C and C++, and both are being developed by separate teams. Well, each of those teams can have their own separate projects, but you can then put it together into a single compound project to see how the dependencies flow across these technologies. You can also use compound projects when you want to analyze multiple versions of the same project. So let's say that you have a project with different versions, but the elements of those projects are the same, but you'd like to see them all together to analyze them and to understand how they depend on other things or how they might have interdependencies to each other possibly. And a compound project would be a useful place for you to use. So let's start with a Lattix Architect, and we'll create a compound project. So we'll go to File, and we'll choose New Compound Project, which brings us to a dialog box for creating a new compound project. And let's look at some of the elements. So the first thing is we can give it a name. So I'll call it my compound project, so you can give your name to it. Then you have a choice of how should these projects be merged together. The default is to not do any merging, but you can then ask to merge by name, or you can say merge everything together. And remember that this is a merging of the data sources. Look at another option which you'll also find very useful, which is to create subsystem for data sources. So when the project is created, then each of the data sources will be identified by a subsystem, which you can then expand and look inside. And you can also create an initial view when you start up. So let's look at the projects I have here in my directory. And I'm going to take a C++ project that I've just selected. And I'm also going to take a Java project that I've selected. And so these are two projects that have been built independently. And we'll now go ahead and create a project. So at this point, it's taking those two projects and merging them together. And we'll keep the data sources separate for them. So here it is. I have now created a project which has the data sources that are associated with it. And let's go to the information pane for a second, and let's select $root, and you will see on the right hand side that the data sources are coming from the C++ project and the Java project. And so this is our Java part, and if you expand it, you'll see that many of these names look like Java names, Java packages. Some of this is a C and C++. And there it is. When I click on that cell, you'll see that that's a native JNI call that's going on. And in fact, with compound projects, you have the full capability of a regular project. If I want, I could then select this. I could select that cell actually. Select that cell and say expand members. And there, once I expand members, now you can see that those two dependencies, that single dependency was a large number of dependencies, which are these native method calls. And in fact, if I want, I can expand everything to members for the entire project. And when I do it, then I'm expanding my Java part, my C and C++ part, and everything is at method is down to the member level. And now you have information available down to the methods, down to the global variables. And most importantly, now that we have the dependencies here from going from C++ to Java, if I change something in C++ code, I can actually trace its impact all the way into Java code. So this is how an example of a compound project which spans multiple technologies. But you can create examples by loading the same technology with multiple versions of it, or the same language with projects which take parts of it, and then you can then put it together. And in fact, you can build projects which is a combination of all those things. So there it is. Compound project is a very powerful capability which helps you analyze your largest systems.